Zhang Yi and his companions, led by the service staff, came to the resting place. This was a house similar to an apartment, and there were soldiers strictly guarding the surroundings. The environment in the apartment was pretty good, and everyone was assigned a single room. The waiter also sent everyone the corresponding matters in the apartment through the communication equipment, including food supply and other services. You can contact them. Zhang Yi and his companions, as well as members of the mutant organizations in other cities, entered the apartment one after another. It was still early, and no one planned to rest now, so Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian came to Zhang Yi's room to discuss tomorrow's meeting with him. Xiao Honglian's face was not very good. As soon as she arrived at Zhang Yi's room, she said worriedly, "I observed when I came here, we brought the least number of people. The number of people from other cities is often hundreds, and I can feel that they have more mutants than us." "More than that?" Xin Tian glanced at Xiao Honglian and said in a serious tone, "I noticed a lot of prying eyes. There are many people with bad intentions among them." Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. He had this feeling too. After all, among the teams of the 12 cities, only their number was the smallest. And the news that Tianhai City had experienced the zombie storm must have spread to other cities. After all, the battle was too fierce. Not to mention that the zombie tide has spread to the surrounding cities. The scale of the battle is so large that it is enough to attract the attention of other cities. Nowadays, Tianhai City has a decline in talents, and the number of mutants is pitifully small. It is indeed easy to be despised. Xing Tian was somewhat indignant. "Damn it! If it were the previous time, would they dare to do this to us?" Thinking back to the time when there were 4 major bases, 1 sect, and Zhang Yi's team, Tianhai City's combat power was very strong. After all, Tianhai City is one of the most populous and economically prosperous cities in China. The underlying foundation determines the superstructure. Even in the end times, Tianhai City's power far exceeds that of most cities in Jiangnan district, and may be second only to Blizzard City. But now, 80% to 90% of the mutants in Tianhai City have been killed by Yuan Kongye, and the remaining power is indeed pitiful. No wonder they are looked down upon by others. There was not much indignation on Zhang Yi's face. He just said lightly, "This is Blizzard City. Even if they have ideas about us, they dare not take action. Before we understand the will of Jiangnan district, no one is allowed to take action here without authorization. Otherwise, if you violate the rules of Jiangnan district, I can't protect you." The other 11 cities are just small fish and shrimps, and Zhang Yi doesn't take them seriously at all. With his current strength, he is definitely a first-class level in Jiangnan district. If anyone is really blind and comes to provoke him, he will make the other party regret his stupid decision. The Jiangnan district is still the one that needs to be careful. It's not that the Jiangnan district has any ill will towards them, but it's simply that the power of heaven is unpredictable. When Xiao Honglian and the others heard what Zhang Yi said, the resentment on their faces subsided a little. However, Zhang Yi looked at him and said with a smile, "You mean they will take the initiative to attack us?" Yao Honglian said worriedly, "I'm afraid that we will be patient, but they will be aggressive. After all, people don't hurt tigers, but tigers have the intention to hurt people." Xiao Honglian crossed his arms and said seriously, "After all, Tianhai City has a prosperous economy and abundant materials. But now there are only a few of our forces guarding it, and there may be less than 10,000 surviving humans. It is inevitable that they will not be remembered by others." Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. He did consider the problem mentioned by Xiao Honglin. "I told you not to think about this issue for now. Deal with the current problem first and focus on tomorrow's meeting. We'll talk about other things when we get back." Everyone followed Zhang Yi's lead at this time. Since he said so, everyone naturally had no other opinions. They also knew that the peak combat power of Tianhai City still had to rely on Zhang Yi. If there was a conflict with other cities one day, it would also depend on Zhang Yi. After Zhang Yi sent a few people away, he planned to ask Bailey Changqing to talk so as to prepare for tomorrow's affairs. Zhang Yi glanced at the room. Zhou Care and Lu Karan were sitting on the bed, looking at her eagerly. Although both of them had their own rooms, perhaps because they were frightened by the strictness of Blizzard City, they ran to Zhang Yi's room to find a sense of security. After receiving Zhang Yi's call, Bailey Chongqing was not surprised. He smiled enthusiastically and said, "You live in District B and I live in District A nearby. I'll send you a temporary electronic pass. Come directly and find me at the password bar." Zhang Yi smiled and said, "Okay." Soon he received the temporary pass sent by Bailey Chongqing. Zhang Yi smiled and said, "You guys rest here first. I'm going to go out to meet an old friend." Zhou Care smiled and said, "Is it the Black Robe investigation team?" Zhang Yi nodded. "Yes, talk to them. His old acquaintances in Blizzard City can only be the Black Robe team. This is no secret." Knowing that what Zhang Yi was doing was very important, Zhou Keir and Lu Karen did not clamor to follow him. Zhang Yi left the room and walked out of the apartment building. At this moment, he realized that he was not the only one who did this, even though the service staff had warned them not to leave the apartment building easily. But whoever could come here was not a local tyrant. How could they be frightened by a mere service staff? In the corridor, many people were already talking, and some people walked out of the apartment and planned to go to Blizzard City for a stroll. When Zhang Yi was about to leave their floor, the waitress who brought them here came over with an anxious look on her face and stopped in front of him. "Excuse me? Where are you going?" Zhang Yi looked at her with a smile. "Go out." She became even more anxious. "Didn't I tell you? Please don't leave the apartment easily. What if you are discovered by the patrolling city defense army?" Zhang Yi interrupted her. "As long as I don't violate the rules of Blizzard City, it's fine. It seems that the rules you sent us don't say that you are not allowed to leave this apartment." The waitress's face was a little ugly. "But if something happens to you guys outside, the higher-ups might blame me," Zhang Yi thought to himself. "You have a lot of rules, but don't try to use them to restrict my freedom. I will abide by the rules of Blizzard City." He stared at the waitress, and the smile on his face slowly disappeared. "But please remember one thing. We are guests here, not subordinates of anyone, let alone prisoners." After saying that, Zhang Yi ignored the waitress's ugly face and walked straight past her and out. The waitress didn't know who was in front of her. Otherwise, she definitely wouldn't have the courage to stop Zhang Yi. Some people are like this. With a little power in their hands, they like to embarrass others to the greatest extent. After Zhang Yi walked out of the apartment building, there was a light snow outside, and the road was clean with few snowflakes. Every day, someone would sweep the road to ensure that it was unobstructed, so that traffic could be convenient and huge war vehicles could pass. Zhang Yi saw many fresh footprints on the road ahead, and he knew that there were already people like him who went out. If you like my content and want to keep up with future updates, hit that subscribe button. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video.